Guys, happy Friday. Today's question is, how can I guarantee I won't regret buying a home? Stay tuned, and I'll give you my response.
You better get fired up.
Guys, welcome to You've Got Questions, I've Got Answers. We're here every single Thursday at 11 o'clock where we answer the Treasure Coast's biggest real estate questions. Now, before I start, I just want to throw out a thank you. There were a couple people that came up to me yesterday that are specifically sticking out in my mind, both out of state. Neither one used me as a realtor, but both of them watch my content. And because of that content, one just said they felt a lot more educated. They wanted to let me know. It felt awesome knowing that they purchased a home with more education and felt more confident in what they did. It just felt great, right? The other one actually said, hey, I've got some contracts that I'm considering. Would you mind just giving me your opinions? And I looked at them and I said, hey, this looks normal, this looks normal, this looks normal. I don't know your state, but if I were purchasing in this state, this is a question I would have based on this. They asked that question. They ended up asking to change the contract because of it. So they were very excited that they watched all this and just the appreciation. It felt awesome to hear. That's why I do this, right? I want to make sure, and I say this all the time, I want people to be more educated buyers, more educated sellers, making better decisions for themselves. That's why I try to put out all this content is to build your confidence and make you smarter. All right. Better decisions make happier people. And that's what we want. So anyway, today's question, how can I guarantee I will not regret buying a home? Well, first of all, you can't, right? And don't let that fear paralyze you. Make a decision, make it as logical as possible. And unless you're a multimillionaire, you're almost assuredly not going to buy the perfect home. Okay. When I went out and had a budget for my home, I had a very specific budget that aligned with my finances and my goals and what I wanted to do in other areas of my life. I did not want to blow $1 million on a house, right? I did not want to be in my, well, I don't want to say opinion. This is a fact, but it's an opinion as to whether or not you want it. In my opinion, I did not want to be house poor. In $1 million home, that would have been, it would have been taking a lot of money out of my paycheck. So we came down considerably in budget, still got a home that checked a lot of boxes for me, and I'm very happy with it. Okay. Is it perfect? No. Did it have a new roof? Nope. We had to replace the roof. Cost a lot of money. Did it have a new AC? Nope. I had to replace the AC. Cost us a lot of money. Does it have a perfect pool? Nope. Probably 3 to 5 years from now, I'm going to have to resurface it. It's going to probably cost me 5 digits worth of money. Right? Is the HOA perfect? Nope. I'm on the doggone board and it's still not perfect. Right? So there's all kinds of issues. You're never going to have a perfect home. I would say, and this is less of a real estate thing and more of a just life thing, you need to have appreciation. Just have appreciation for the fact that you're an American, you're living in an amazing area. You're in Florida. You've got the beaches around us. You've got beautiful weather around us. You've got no income tax. It's just, man, it's a beautiful, beautiful state to live in. And to be able to find a home down here, people complain about prices. Prices are high because it's amazing. You want to find cheap prices, go to an area that sucks. Prices are going to be great there, I promise, right? So I'm not saying, hey, just shut up and buy. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, be appreciative for what you have in your life. And we've got amazing things here. And I say that, I want to bring it back to real estate now, because I've seen people paralyze themselves. They've got this perfect list, almost like dating, right? When you've got a man or a woman who wants to go find somebody and they're like, well, they've got to be 6 feet tall and they've got to make 100,000 and they've got to never have been with another woman and they've got to have no kids and they've got to have whatever, all these perfect things. Well, when you look statistically at how many men fit that perfect list, well, there's like 3 of them left, honey. And you've got 200 million women you're competing with. So hurry up. Like, if your standards are that high, it's going to be impossible. And you're going to be single. Single in real estate usually is either living with mom and dad or it's renting. And I've gone over multiple times why renting, how renting can negatively impact your wealth future. You need to get into a house. You got to buy a house. Unless you're going to live there for less than 3 years, it always makes sense to own a house, assuming you can financially do it. Don't let the fact that you can't get the perfect home stop you. I can't tell you. I don't like being a pushy salesman. That's not all what I like doing. But the one thing I will push on is if you are going to rent and I can influence you to buy, I am going to try my dangdest to do it. And it might not be a beautiful house. In fact, the house might be worse than the house you would otherwise be renting. But that's a short-term problem that leads to a long-term wealth growth for you. And that's what I want to see. So I'm going to give you today when I say some, I mean 5. I'm going to give you 5 of the things that I see buyers most regretting after they buy a home. A, so you can be aware of it and think about it. And B, I want you to see that some of these really aren't as big a deal as you think they are. And there's easy solutions to overcome these. So number 1, bedrooms are too small. So they'll buy the home, they'll get them in, and then all of a sudden, 2-3 years later, they're calling me to sell, and they'll say the bedrooms are just too small. I got 2 teenagers, they need bigger bedrooms, so we got to go look at a home with a bigger bedroom. There's nothing wrong with that. The one thing I would say to that, though, is if you're in that lower price point, maybe 3.25, there aren't a lot of options where you're not going to have to dole out 20 grand for a new roof or 9 grand for a new AC. If you want a decent AC, a decent roof, and a decent home, maybe not updated, but decent, and I got to have 4 bedrooms, and I want a nice lot, and I want blah, 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 and I want big bedrooms, you might not get all that for 325. So you're gonna have to cut somewhere. You're either gonna have to increase your budget, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think you should set a budget before you go looking. And if that house that's attached to that budget is painful, well, Americans are going to go out and just spend money. And they're going to have a tough time financially 5, 10, 15 years down the road because of that. I would urge you, and this is a salesman saying it, I want to sell you a more expensive house. It benefits me. But I'm still going to push you because I know it doesn't make any sense to stay within your budget. Don't let a realtor, don't let a lender tell you should spend more. Maybe you need to live with smaller bedrooms. All right. Now, if you've looked at other homes that fit your budget and they've got bigger bedrooms, yes, consider that home. But if you're in a smaller price point, then maybe bigger bedrooms just isn't an option, right? So there, I would have asked those sellers, hey, when we were looking, do you think there were homes within your budget that kind of checked all the boxes this one checked and had bigger bedrooms? Or do you think the price point may have been the thing holding you back? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, nah, Joe, at our price point, we just couldn't afford more bedrooms. But now we've got a little equity built in our home. If we sell this, we're going to make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, whatever it is. And we're going to take that. And now we can, step up maybe 30 to 50 grand in price. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Now you might be able to afford those bigger bedrooms. You can afford more square footage. It makes sense. Okay. So the next one I hear all the time. And this is another thing I try to at least poke the bear a little bit on to make sure that when they're making the decision to sign, they're not going to have this regret. Being too far from work, family, or friends. All right. And everybody's kind of got their driving force. For me, I want area-wise, location-wise, I want to be in an area where I can get to appointments business-wise, lickety-split. So if all my business is in Port St. Lucie, it doesn't make any sense for me to look at homes in Fort Pierce or Vero Beach because I'm going to have to drive 30 minutes to get to an appointment, 30 minutes. I'm going to hate that. I have 2 little girls that are 9 and 12. I love tradition. I know some of you are going to roll your eyes and say, I hate tradition. Whatever. It's what I like. It's what my family likes, right? So I love being in that tradition area. I want to be in tradition. Does it cost me more? Yeah. Does that mean I get less house if I'm sticking to my budget, which I'm pushing myself to do? Yes. But I'm okay with that because I like the area. None of this is right or wrong. What I'm trying to push on you today is being cognizant of all these thoughts and saying, where am I willing to give so that in this area I can take? And just be realistic with your budget. So that's the second thing. Third thing, and the third and fourth are kind of just opposite ends of the spectrum. Too expensive. I've got a couple right now. They said that they're approved for $550, but they'd like to stay at $500 or less. So we go looking at 480s, 490s, 500s, and they do what every single buyer does. A night later, they send me 2 or 3 houses and they say, hey, can we go look at these tomorrow? And I look at the prices and they're 540, 545, and 549.9. And of course, I'm going to say, yes, you're the driver. You are the client. Whatever you want, we'll do. But I'm also going to nudge you a little bit. And I'm going to say, hey, I want you to realize, and I'm sharing this from experience, that there's a chance you're going to give me a call in the next 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. And you're going to say, Joe, this is just too much. We're not able to go out to eat anymore. We're not able to get the kids into sports like we used to be. We're not able to save for retirement the way we used to because we're plowing so much cash into this house. We'd like to sell the house and get a house for less. I don't want you to do that. So I'm not saying don't look at the 550, but I want you to feel the pain of that budgeted item going up. Look at your budget. Can you comfortably add that increased payment to your budget? If you can, get it. If you're saying, no, that's pretty painful, why go look at those three? Because I can promise you a $550,000 home is better than a $500,000 home. It's got more square footage. It's got a pool. It's got a new roof. It's got something that makes it $50,000 more valuable. So if you go there and look at it, you're going to fall in love with it. Don't allow yourself to do that unless you know your budget can handle it. All right. Number 4, and this is the opposite. Too much deferred maintenance. I see this a lot when I get people like in that 3.25 to 4 range, where maybe even lower, maybe 3 to 375, 3 to 350. And there's something they fall in love with about this home. It could be the kitchen. It could be it's right next to my sister. It could be it's got 4 bedrooms. Everything else we've looked at has 3, whatever it is. And they, in my opinion, this isn't always true, tend to overlook a lot of different problems, including deferred maintenance, because they want to be next to their sister or they want that 4th bedroom. And then 6 months in, they need a new roof. They get canceled by their insurance. Well, crap, there goes 18 grand. And then a year after that, the AC goes out because it was 14 years old. I mean, it's going to go out pretty soon. There's $9,200. And now they haven't sunk any money into the things they wanted to do, right? Updating the flooring, updating the kitchen, whatever, because they had to sink $27,000 into a roof and an AC, things they had to do. And now they're upset because they bought a home that had too many issues. Joe, I don't want to do that next time we buy. Okay, remember that when you're going to buy and that thing, whatever it is, being next to your sister, you love the kitchen, whatever it is that you fall in love with, remember that you've also got to deal with the financials of the house. And I'm not saying don't buy a house with an old roof and old AC. I did, but I was aware of it. I knew, hey, this is an 18-year-old home. The roof is 18. The AC was 18. They're not going to last more than 2 years. Are you okay shelling out the money needed for a roof and an AC to get all these things you want? I said yes, but I did it with cognizance. Do it with cognizance and you're okay. So spend too much, man, it might hurt the budget. You'll get what you want. You'll get a much better house, but it's going to hurt that budget. Don't spend enough. And now you might have deferred maintenance that's going to end up taken out of your pocketbook anyway. So just be aware of it. Okay. Number 5, they don't like the layout, right? So if you don't like, I've never heard anybody say they don't like a dining room or a living room. I've never heard that in my life. I'm sure somebody listening will say that, but I've never heard that. I've heard people say, I don't like the size of the bedrooms. That's really it. Or the layout. Because the kitchen and the bathrooms, if they don't like it, they'll just pay money and they'll have it redone. Right? No, it's getting expensive. You used to be able to do a bathroom for $5,000. Now a bathroom might be $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 or more. It could be more. Kitchens, 30 to 75. It's crazy. That doesn't mean you can't get some kitchen work done for less than 30. You can. But I've seen prices for kitchen renovations in the $30,000 to $75,000 range and higher, you know? So really think about this layout, right? One thing that I tell people to think about a lot is think about the common Tuesday night. You go to work, you come home, maybe you got kids, a spouse, whatever it is. You're going to make dinner. Where is your spouse? Where are your kids? Is it important to you to have an open layout so you can see your kids watching TV? You can see what they're watching. You can have a conversation with your husband. He's in his little side office, but you've still got eyes on him. Is that important to you? Or maybe you want to get away from him. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom. And you're like, hey, when my husband gets home, I want him to be in the living room with my kids, but it needs a little office area so he can be in there working. But I would like a more traditional layout, not an open layout, so that I can get the privacy I want while I'm making dinner. Whatever. Everybody's different, but just think about that before you buy into a house because, oh my gosh, it's right next to my best friend, which is also important. Just think about all those things. I've never had anybody say, I've had people say they don't like the color of a home. I've even had people not buy a home because of the color, which I think is crazy because you can paint for not free, but it's very, very cheap if you do it yourself. If you hire it out, it's expensive, but if you do it yourself, it's not bad. But I've never had anybody buy a home and call me a year, 2 years, 3 years later and say, oh, I got to sell this home because I just can't take the color. Ever. You just paint the doggone thing. So if you're looking at a home and it checks all the boxes, but it's got SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm listing a home soon with SpongeBob in one of the bedrooms. It's got that in a bedroom. And the next bedroom is neon pink. And the next bedroom has, elephant and unicorn wallpaper. Big deal. That's all aesthetic and it's all stuff. Even if they had great paint colors, you're going to want to get in there and make it your own. At least if you're married to my wife, every 6 months, we got to repaint every single room, right? So don't let that slow you down. But really think of all these things before you go through there. And like I said, I see both sides. I see the one that they'll buy anything. They're so excited to buy, they'll buy anything. And I've got to kind of pull them back and be like, okay, you're going to be able to buy. Trust me, there's plenty of options. But let's really think about what are the finances going to look like? Is this layout going to work for you? Are these bedrooms big enough for what you're trying to do? Right? You got to kind of pull them back and give them a little bit more warning than maybe they're giving themselves. But I get people on the other side too, where they're so cautious that they never pull the trigger. And now you see them 10 years later, 20 years later, they're still renting. They've got $5,000 in their bank account and they're supposed to be retiring in 10, 15 years. And it's like, ugh, you don't want people in that position either. So sometimes you got to kick people in the butt and be like, listen, I know the bedrooms aren't big enough, but for your budget, they're good enough. Get the doggone house. Call me in 5 years, we'll sell it. You'll get a check. You're not going to get that from renting. And now you can level up on price. But I guess the big takeaway is really think. And you don't need to think for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm talking about sitting down with your spouse, your friend, me, whatever. Grab a bottle of wine, have dinner, and just write all the pros, all the cons. Can you swallow the cons? And if you don't like the cons, are there homes in your budget that don't have those cons, but do have the pros? If so, what are we looking at this house for? Let's go look at that house. But what you might find is, no, I can't get rid of these cons unless I get rid of some of these pros, and I want these pros. Okay, then you just have to say, hey, listen, my budget is my budget, and I've gotta eat suck somewhere. That's an old army phrase, right? What, eat suck and enjoy the suck, embrace the suck. That was the biggest one, embrace the suck. You just have to. And I know you want the home buying experience to be perfect, but with a budget, like I said, if you've got a $300,000 budget, it's the $400,000 home. That's the home of your dreams. If you've got a $500,000 budget, it's that $650,000. That's the home of your dreams. I got $1 million clients and they're like, this is a good home, but man, that 1.5, that would be the home of my dreams. My point is, wherever you're at, it's always that next level up that is the home of your dreams. And trust me, when you get there, it's going to be the next one, the next one, the next one. Meaning it's just a box. I'm a realtor. I should make this sound better than it is, but it's a box. You're going to live in it. And the people that are in it, the memories that you make, and I'm big on finances, man, making sure that your finances do not get out of hand because you own that box, to me, are the most important things. Now, if you can add little amenities that make you happy, like a fourth bedroom, bigger bedrooms, a nicer kitchen, do it. But don't hold yourself back from enjoying your family, enjoying your memories. keeping your finances on path because of a box you're buying. All right. Buy the box, be happy, build wealth, sell, take the money, buy a bigger box, a nicer box, and just keep doing that throughout life. Guys, I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you've got housing regrets that you felt after purchasing your home, we'd love to hear about them in the comments. Or if you want to let me know what questions you have for a future Friday, You've Got Questions, I've Got Answers video, feel free to send me a private DM over Facebook, and I'm happy to do it. Guys, thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.